What's up nakamas? Welcome back to the channel, and for today, we've got some updates for Nami from the latest EB-01 set. So I'd be going over some cards that I added from this set into my Nami deck, which I brought to the local tournament last weekend. So before I go into our main deck, two cards from the EB-01 set that I considered playing into the Nami deck but unfortunately didn't make the cut. It's a blue stage Log Town. It has an activate main that you may place this card and one card from your hand onto the bottom of your deck and you draw two cards. Then it has a trigger that you can play this card. So drawing cards is really good. Unfortunately, what I don't like about this card is that it's good for drawing cards or filtering, but it's not really reducing the number of cards in your deck. The next card is Prince Barret, or I think it's Ballet in English. So this card is pretty interesting. It's an early drop. It's a 2-drop 2000, but it has a 2k counter, which I think is really good. You can attach one Dawn to this, and when attacking, if you have one or less cards in your hand, return up to one character with a cost of 3 or less to their owner's hand. I think this has a very strong effect, and it doesn't say your opponent's characters, so it's a good way to bounce your Mr. Ones or your Kaya, or in some list, when you're running Buggy, you can also bounce your own Buggy. But I think these cards can make a home in future configurations with more playtesting. So with those cards out of the way, let me explain and show how my current playtesting build for Nami with some cards that we got from EB-01. Let's get the Dawn out of the way. For our core characters, we are still running full playsets of Kaya, which is a 2k counter and really good for filtering our hand in the early game. And you can use her multiple times via Zeph's ability, or with some of our triggers and events, we can bounce her. Next is the 1-drop Mr. One. I still like this card very much. It's a good way to return the Gum Gum Gavel. Then we also have Zeph, 1k counter, our attacker. So with one Dawn attached to this card, you can mill 7 cards if you hit your opponent. Then the on-play effect on this card is very strong. You can bounce your opponent's character with a cost of 3 or less. And you can also bounce your own characters with this effect. Then you mill 2 cards. We are playing 3 copies of Mr. One, the 5-drop Mr. One. So this is basically an attacker, an additional attacker for us. It has a 6k body and a 1k counter. So we are not able to use the first ability of Mr. One, but what we really care about is the on-play effect, which allows us to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. So in the tournament that I played last weekend, I won 2 games and I lost 1 game. So I won against Yellow Katakuri and a Mono Green Kinemon deck. Then my loss came from a new EB-01 leader, Hanyabal, which was very interesting. And I'd probably make a deck out of that deck. Then the next card that we got from EB-01 that I really wanted to test is a 6-drop Inazuma. So this card has the ability that during the end of your turn, if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, you draw 2 additional cards. I was only able to play this card once, and it was against the Mono Green Kinemon, and I was really happy with the performance of Inazuma. However, I don't see myself running more than 1 copy. So unfortunately, we didn't get really good events from EB-01. So upon inserting those 4 cards from EB-01, these are how my events look like. Still running 4 copies of each of these: Usopp's Rubber Band, Gavel, and Desert Spada. These are our 1-drops. So Usopp's Rubber Band, it mills a card from the top of your deck. And even the trigger, it's still nice because you get to draw a card and then you mill 1 card. So Gavel, same as in my previous videos, I really like the card. I think it does all the things that Nami wants to do. So it gives a 4K counter only to your leader though. Discard a card, most likely Impel Down All Stars if you have that in your hand. Then it mills 2 cards. Then Desert Spada, a 2K counter that lets you manipulate basically the top 3 cards of your deck. So you can put that either bottom or at the top, and then you get to arrange those cards. And the trigger is also nice. You get to draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. For our 2 drops, running 4 copies of White Snake, this draws you a card. So I really like this. And take note that the plus 1000 that's given by White Snake stays for the entire turn. Only 2 copies of Arabesque Brick Fist. I prefer the card draw that's given by the new Mr. 1. So I cut 2 copies of Brick Fist. And I think it's still pretty okay, and I'm quite happy with cutting this card for now. And 4 copies of Love Love Beam. It gives 4K counter, and when you have 3 cards or less, it draws you a card. Last but not the least, 4 copies of Pilaf. I don't see myself cutting any of these cards. So Sanji's Pilaf 3 drop, draw 2 cards. Even the trigger draws you 2 cards, so it's really good. Impel Down All Stars, we only want the trigger on this to draw 2 cards. We are not able to use the main of this card. So that's why if you have this card in your opening hand, I advise you to mulligan. And this is pretty much a very good candidate to discard when you have Gavel or when you play Kaya or the new Mr. 1 where we get to draw 2 cards and discard a card. Last but not the least, 4 copies still of Deathwing plus 6K counter. Then you draw cards until your hand size becomes 2. So playing this without any cards in your hand will draw you 2 cards, and if you have 1 card, you'll draw 1 card. So that's it for this video. These are my take on the EB-01 cards that I'm currently playing for my Nami deck. So I'm still gonna continue playtesting this, and the deck list might still change from time to time, so I'd be giving some updates when I update as I play this Nami deck in the local tournaments. So what cards are you playing from EB-01 to update your Nami deck? Please do let me know in the comment section below. I'd be very much interested. If you're still watching up to this point, then you're not just a nakama, you're a super nakama. And I'm very thankful for that. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe to the channel so that you would be notified in my future One Piece videos. That's it for today. Have a good day and see you in the next video.